So I'm not exactly sure what path we took and what exactly was going on outside that car. Um, but apparently, the whole drive, my mom was just getting ready to tell my sister and I to get out and run because everybody was evacuating. The roads were so crowded and there was smoke everywhere. But we eventually made it out of Coffee Park, and my dad stayed to make sure people were evacuating. And I guess what his experience was that he was just going door to door, waking people up, opening garage doors, throwing people into random cars that were passing by just to get people out of there. So my mom, my sister, and I, our two birds, and a lizard and a dog, went down to Roanoke Park. The cousin that was supposed to come to our house and stay over with her husband and their two sons, I had contacted on that car ride, and she said that they were in Roanoke Park at a hotel right off the expressway exit. So that's where we went. And we pulled up, and my mom went into the hotel lobby to try and get a room. And I remember I was just holding my sister's bird on my chest, and I had my bird in a little carrier. And I was just telling my sister, stay in the car, don't get out. I was making sure my shoes were on in case I had to get out. And my mom came back. She said, okay, we got a room. She drove around the corner. We found a parking spot. We grabbed like the two suitcases we had into the room. And then we were there. We put the two birds on the suitcases and put the lizard in the bathtub. And we didn't have a collar for our dog. We actually makeshifted a harness out of the leash that we had that was already in the car. And we were just hanging out in that hotel room. I was still trying to contact people. My boyfriend and his roommate finally left. And we actually had friends that lived in Roanoke Park across the freeway from where we were. So they were going to go up and stay with them while we were in the hotel room. And we turned on the news so we could see what was going on. And we were just kind of in shock. We at that point were just praying that nothing was going to happen to the house, that the fire would skip over the house, because we pretty much had nothing. I had the few shirts and my school books that I packed. I didn't get any of my other animals besides my bird. All of our family photos and videos and art projects, everything was there in the house. And I remember going up to the second story of the hotel and looking out over the freeway up north where the fires were, and everything was just orange. But I wanted to watch and make sure that they didn't get any closer to where we were. So eventually, my boyfriend and his roommate got to that friend's house in Roanoke Park, and they actually offered to go by Safeway and get me and my family some food. At this point, it's getting close to 4 or 5 in the morning. And we also needed like dog food and bird cages and bird food. And we had a lizard in the bathtub in the hotel room. And from this point, the timeline's kind of fuzzy because we were all just unable to process what was going on. We were still trying to contact people, and my dad was still in Coffee Park, and we had animals everywhere. And eventually, my mom's dad, my grandpa, came with his girlfriend, so they were at the hotel. And then we met up with that cousin, and then my mom was there, and I went outside, and we were all just in a circle, trying to make sense of what was going on in Santa Rosa. Because my grandpa and his girlfriend were on Old Redwood Highway, and they had also been evacuated. And then I don't remember if my dad texted us or if he told us when he showed up at that hotel, but eventually, when the fires had kind of made their way out of Coffee Park, he went to our property and saw that the house was gone. So he told us that, and my mom just broke. I didn't really process it for a while, but of course I was sad. I was just also flustered. So eventually, I met up with those friends and my boyfriend that were in Rohnert Park. They brought us some food. We weren't really hungry though. Um, and for the next part of that day, I think we went to a pet store. And then eventually, because my dad was a police officer, he was able to get us into Coffee Park. And we went and we saw our property. And we drove to the driveway and we passed the neighbor's house, and it was gone. They had a garage that was still standing and another small structure that was behind the house, but the house was just ash and rubble. And then we pulled up to our lot and it was gone. It was just a bunch of dust and metal frames that was still smoking. I mean, this was still sometime in the morning, I'm pretty sure. And so we lost our home. We had a large shop that was gone. We lost the granny unit. Our solar panels were destroyed. So it was rough to see that, and it made it a lot more real. And there really aren't words to describe what it was like to see that, to just see the house you've lived in for 20 years flat and burning, and just everything you've known gone. In the backyard, though, our chickens were alive. We were joking that their eggs were going to be hard boiled, though. And I remember I wanted to see my friend who was our neighbor's daughter, because I saw her car there, so she must have made it there somehow. And the neighbors came over and they were just in tears and we were hugging. And I was looking for my friend Taylor, and then she ran up and she was just crazy eyes. You know, she was so devastated. Her family lost their home that they had built. You know, her best friend just lost their home. The neighborhood we had lived in our entire lives was gone. So eventually we left the property. I ended up staying with my friends in Rohnert Park, and it was me, them, my boyfriend, his roommate, and some of their coworkers who were also evacuated. So we slept on the living room floor for almost a week, and my parents and my sister went and stayed with my grandma in Windsor. And the next week was also just kind of a blur. You know, we weren't working, at least, you know, my dad was working, but we weren't. Schools were closed, but we were so busy. I remember my friend took me to the mall because my car was in our driveway, so it was halfway melted. And I was just picking up like a bra, and I went to Bath and Body Works to get soap, just stuff like that. And I remember some amazing ladies that worked at Bath and Body Works actually bought my entire purchase and threw in a bunch of things, which was so sweet. And my parents the whole time were just already starting to try and find a house to rent. I mean, they were on it like same day because they knew it was going to happen. Everybody was displaced. Everybody was going to need a house. So they were already searching. And we lost our home Monday morning, and we found and moved into a home on that Friday, which was crazy lucky. And my work was up in Windsor. I worked at Starbucks, and they didn't have gas or power, so I wasn't working for a few days. But I went up there with my friend who lived in Rohnert Park because she worked at that same store. And we gathered up a bunch of food that was in there. We were going to go donate it.